Everyone. I just wanted to share some tips and tricks I've learned over the years from dealing with nightmares. If you or your child suffers from nightmares, I highly recommend you follow some of these tips and tricks I've learned over the years to prevent them. First, I'll give you a brief history of my journey through experiencing nightmares, or one might even look at it as, encountering negative spirits in the astral realm, or demons, whatever you want to call these negative entities. I started having nightmares since around 5 years old. I grew up a fundamentalist Christians, so my parents would just tell me to, pray to Jesus. And even if I still had them, they would just tell me pray to Jesus. And if you're having them still, you're not praying hard enough, or you're doing something wrong because Jesus is all powerful. So it's kind of your fault if He doesn't protect you, kind of thing. I would still have them though, no matter how hard I would pray to Jesus. It got to the point where I would stop praying because it seemed like they wouldn't help, regardless. What was the point of even praying? And I would develop insomnia over my childhood years here because I was afraid of going to sleep. If I did have a nightmare, I would go watch TV in my living room, not only to take my mind off the nightmare, but because a lot of times if you wake up from a nightmare and you go back to sleep, you end up falling asleep into the exact same nightmare you were having before. And then once I became a teenager and started smoking pot, the nightmares were very less frequent because THC helps prevent you from going into REM sleep, and REM sleep is kind of where you have the most vivid nightmares and dreams in the evening. In my adult years, though, the nightmares did come back once I cut down on the THC intake. But I really haven't had any the past few months now, because if I do see a demon or a negative being, whatever you want to call it, in a dream or anything like that, I have the tools and knowledge now to get rid of them. I don't banish them just because they'll be able to go back and attack someone else eventually and feed off their energy and fear. Instead, I call upon angels, ascended masters, and my guides to take them to the light so they can't harm anyone anymore, and they can't do any more, basically, evil, which is a good thing, obviously. So this is what you need to do if you ever find yourself in a nightmare or even feel the presence of a negative being while awake when you're not in a dream. Basically, you need to do a prayer to call upon angels, an ascended spiritual master for protection, and to send that negative being back to the light. The specific prayer I use comes from James Gilland of Eceti Ranch. I will post that prayer in the description below so that you or your family member can reference it. I highly recommend memorizing it because it has saved me multiple times in some very scary dreams against some very scary demons and negative ETs, or what I believe them to be. If you can't remember that in your dream, you can also call upon the name of Jesus, or his real name, Yeshua. Either one works. There's power in that name. If you aren't a Christian, that is okay. You can call upon Buddha, White Eagle, Kuan Yin, or other spiritual masters to come in and help you. If you don't remember to ask for protection before bed, though, or can't remember any of these tips or tricks while dreaming, when all else fails, just close your eyes if you're ever having a nightmare. It's one thing your child can do as well. You'll eventually wake up, even if you die in that dream. It is way less traumatizing to experience a nightmare while your eyes are closed. I remember one in particular when I was about 7 or 8 years old. I fell asleep, and the first memory I have of that nightmare was being carried down my basement steps by a negative black, being in a black cloak. It would have been probably very traumatizing, but I heard a voice in my head tell me just to pretend to be asleep in my dream. So I did, and then they carried me down in my basement, and I believe I was surrounded by other black cloaked demons. I believe I was ritually sacrificed then, but luckily I didn't, see that firsthand. I just kind of felt a pain go through me, and I think I was stabbed or something like that. I would have been way more traumatized if I had to keep my eyes open and allowed them to feed off my fear before they killed me. I would say, though, the best method to preventing nightmares altogether is just not to allow that negative space for them to thrive or attack you in the first place. Make sure your bedroom is clean and has good feng shui. You can also create a crystal grid around your bed and call upon Yeshua or Ascended Master to clear yourself of negative entities and to clear the energy of your room to set sacred space. The key to this, though, is not to be in fear when you ask for protection. If you are in a negative mindset or negative energy when you ask for protection, you leave holes in your auric field for entities to get at you. If you have faith that you'll be protected, you are way more likely to have that protection. I mean, even if you can't get rid of that feeling of fear, still ask for protection, obviously, but it's best to ask it from a place of confidence and faith. If your child is having nightmares, you need to be very mindful of the media and digital content they are watching. Do not expose them to any horror movies, violent TV shows, or anything that children shouldn't be watching, especially before they go to sleep. They need to be in a positive mindset before they go to sleep. So watching funny YouTube videos or content that is wholesome, that lifts up their spirits would be much better. You can do the Eceti clearing prayer and ask for protection while your child sleeps. And finally, you can call upon the animal kingdom as well for your child's protection. I've never seen that fail yet. That's something I learned from sharing Give a Band, and it's worked for me every time I've done it. So every time I call upon the animal kingdom for protection, it just works like magic. I don't know how to explain it. The universe is conscience. We are all one. So it's another great tool you can use as well. And if you guys have any questions or want to share your experience with me, or if you have a child or someone going through this and you need help, feel free to message me, and I'd be happy to share with you anything I've learned over the years. Thank you very much.